Hey everyone, and welcome to the Perfect Bite podcast, your fusion of food and entrepreneurship. You'll hear stories from chefs, restaurateurs, CPG brands, and more from the food and bev industry. All of them are at different points in their journeys, talking about their experiences and how they've cooked up something new. Let's dig in. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Perfect Bite podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Perkins. It's true what they say. Food is medicine. What we put into our bodies has such a great effect on everything else within the realm of our personal health. Today's host not only knows this from growing up with family traditions, but has made it her life's mission to help others eat better through delicious products, recipes, and personalized practices. And trust me, there is nothing bland about her brand or personality. Please welcome founder of beSPICED and the author of Dal Chawal, Sapna Punjabi. Sapna, we're here.
Yes, we are. Oh my goodness. Hi, Sarah. Namaste. What a sweet little introduction. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
I am so happy to have you here again. We have to thank our mutual friend, Sally. She's got everyone in her realm who's doing such amazing things in terms of home cooking and recipes and cookbook publishing. So I can't wait to hear all about your journey and how you're about to go on your first book tour.
Yes,
so cool.
Yes, so much to chat. And yes, a big thank you to Sally, the connection. She is the queen of connections. And I'm just so grateful that she is my agent and I'm in her orbit. I love it. I love it. So much to talk about, Sarah. And yes, my book, Dal Chawal, was launched. I came to this world April 8th this year. And this entire year has been dedicated to the book. And, my mission is to make Dal Chawal a common name. The word Dal Chawal has a deep connection to billions of Indians worldwide. But my mission is to make Dal Chawal a household name and not a foreign name for all people, from different cultures. Because I think everybody should have dal and chawal in their pantry and they should cook with it almost every week or every day.
And you heard me say that like such a Midwesterner. Dal Chawal. Dal Chawal.
No, that's okay.
Chawal.
That it's a word. It's just a word. So no worries. But yeah, I started and the book was launched in April. And then I got a dreamy launch here in Dallas at the Asian Museum. I was so blessed to be surrounded with lots of friends and well-wishers. And then I went to New York. And then I have just been, hustling my way, making sure that the world knows about Dal Chawal. And you mentioned about book tour. And next week, I'm headed to California. I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait to hear more. I always love to take things back to really the beginning. What was food like for you growing up? How did you first fall in love with food? And what was cooking like in your household when you were a kid?
I mean, I was blessed. I would say, thank goodness that I was born and raised in a family that celebrated food, home cooked food. My mom, that's her way of communicating love, is cooking for us. And I was so fortunate that I grew up with fresh meals, almost every meal of my life for a long time. And we were big foodies, like other foodies. We would talk about what mom's going to make or for dinner at lunchtime. Also, I was blessed to be born and raised in Mumbai, India, which it is such a part of different cultures, different cuisines, and just like New York, right? You will never get bored. There's restaurants and different cuisines that are celebrated in the city. So my friends that I went to college with or school with, we would often kind of look what's in other person's lunchbox and we would share our meals.
Oh.
So food was, I think I was surrounded by, thank goodness, was surrounded by great home cooked food all my life, when I was being raised by India. And I would also say I was also fortunate that I was born and raised by parents who were vegetarian, who chose vegetarianism. And for them, I was raised a vegetarian. And now here, fast forward many decades later, that I'm here in America, in Dallas, I have 2 children and 2 kids, and they both are vegetarians. That I think that has been passed down multi-generations.
That is so cool. Very much the vegetarian, veggie focused, very environmentally friendly, natural way of eating. And it sounds like you're making it super exciting too. I think despite it being 2025, there's so many incredible vegetarian, vegan, other dietary restrictions or lifestyle options out there. And people tend to go, well, what do you even eat? So what were some of those things that you remember as a kid that you've even passed down to your children now?
Tell me about it. See, growing up in India, being a vegetarian is, I think, very easy.
Yeah.
There are tons of restaurants that are vegetarian. And so vegetarian, it's very spiritually connected. Also, so I'm a vegetarian because of spiritual aspect. I'm a Hindu. That doesn't mean that all Hindus are vegetarian. First of all, that's a misconception. And then also, I know coming here as a dietitian and just learning nutrition, I feel like a lot of people here choose the food choices, whether it's vegan or vegetarian. It could be environmentally focused. It could be a personal choice. It could be a health choice. It could be a choice to not have animal products. But I think for us, it was just the way of life. It was just the way of living. That's how it is. We never thought about it from an environmental focus or from a health focus. So it's, I think, more cultural, but I have to give all kudos to my children. I often say that even though they look Indian, they're equally American. And so they have made a choice to be vegetarian. And even though they're they've gone to schools and they're in college, they have choices. And both of my children also are athletes. So they also are very much knowledgeable about protein and good nutrition. And in spite of all of that, they have chosen to follow the vegetarian path, which I always tell them they are my nutrition ambassadors, my vegetarian ambassadors living here. But all my life, people would question my protein intake and how you just eat vegetables. I mean, are you sure? What about fish? Can you have fish and can you have eggs and can you have this? And I'm like, no, my protein comes from my dals, which we're going to talk a lot about in this podcast. But dal is pulses and beans, and every jar has endless possibilities. At any given time, my pantry, so I have an entire shelf in my pantry that I have about 15 glass jars of dried beans, pulses, legumes, lentils, whatever name you want to call it. Some are whole, some are split. And often I have to joke as well. It's like, I don't think anybody gets bored of chicken, right? There are endless possibilities of chicken recipes. Well, hello, there's entire TV shows where, chicken is the highlight. And I said, if one can make so many recipes from that one protein, and can you imagine each jar has endless possibilities? And how would I get bored if I have a minimum of 15 jars on any options on any given day? So.
Incredible. And again, you're in Dallas. You are in the middle of big barbecue. But again, I do love how this generation is like, well, you can still have maybe some of the flavors of barbecue, but jackfruit is such an incredible vegetarian option. I am not vegetarian myself, but when there are sometimes those days where I'm like a day of going meat free, then things like that. And beans, of course. I mean, the endless cases for beans. And they're known for being the staple and the heart of if you want to live a really, really long, healthy life.
Yes. I mean, there are studies, right? The blue zone diet, and there's just so much evidence about beans that is coming up that I guess we Indians knew for centuries. We have been surviving on this. And again, that I'm not saying that all Indian food is, plant-based or vegetarian. We have lots of meat eating recipes and different communities. Again, food is very personal. So I hate labels, this is what I eat, and that's how I have led my work and my career and the way I cook. It's like, this is the way I eat. If anybody's curious about it, I started opening doors, and I'm like, I'm happy to share with you the way I cook and the way I eat. And if this resonates to you, I'm happy to share some skill sets. I'm happy to share some tips. And you don't have to cook. I don't expect you to cook the way I cook every single day, but now you have additional skill sets and you can add that. And yes, I did that in a state like Texas. And there's, again, stereotypical assumptions about a particular state. We humans, we make all these stereotype assumptions, but if I can do it in Dallas and I have a thriving brand and, I do so many different things right here in Dallas, Texas, anybody can do it anywhere.
I like that. I do. And I have a very close friend who just moved down to Dallas. So we're all going to have to get a good meal together soon.
Yes,
Or get
please.
a friend.
Yes.
I'm like, I've been
absolutely.
through the airport, but yeah, again,
Now you have a
hasn't been on the
home.
list yet. I do.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Love that.
And same to you here in Columbus. Tell me a little bit about the next part of your journey. Again, you grew up loving food and just having a really different type of connection with it. What inspired you to become a neonatal nutritionist at first before you started your own brand and the many, many different offerings that you have now?
Yeah, it all starts, right? Our past holds different chapters, and each chapter unveils the next one. So, and when you mentioned Columbus, Ohio, my journey in America in the late 90s started in Ohio. So I came to the United States to do my grad studies in nutrition. I was a dietitian. I did my undergrad in nutrition and dietetics in India. And then I chose to get grad studies here. I went to Case Western Reserve. Love my university. And again, I feel like, the paths, it's just so funny, like how when things are meant to be. I was this fresh off the boat. I mean, I knew I wanted to just be in hospital setting. I was very interested in the clinical aspect of nutrition. And I signed up for a coursework in neonatal nutrition. I had never studied, I didn't even know how can nutrition it's so critical that doctors have to handle nutrition. But no, I stepped into this course led by a pioneer in neonatal nutrition. I was so fortunate to be trained by Dr. Sharon Growargo, who is the mother of neonatal nutrition. And I told her then, I said, I found my calling. And I promised you after graduation, I'm going to dedicate my career in neonatology. And that's what I did. I moved to Dallas and worked in one of our leading hospital systems here in Dallas, Texas, and focused my about 11 years, my first part of my career in neonatology and women's health. Absolutely fulfilling experience. Very different to what I'm doing right now, but extremely fulfilling journey. That first chapter of my career here.
And what made you say you wanted to then expand that journey? So I love that you were focused on women, you were focused on babies, just how important nutrition is at the start of life, but also just sustaining women. We've got a lot going on.
Yes.
To say the least. And sadly, especially in Western medicine, we're just not given the same considerations. We are not test subjects, or we are not put at the center of research. And so there's just a lot of misconceptions, and there's a lot of then essentially pushing women to the side when they're trying to explain symptoms or something going on with them.
Yeah, I mean, I think Western medicine overall has a different approach, right, compared to Eastern wisdom. And I feel very grateful that I was trained by the best doctors and the best school. And I have huge respect for evidence-based medicine. But everything is algorithm-based. Everything has deeper protocols. And I think Western medicine is very symptom management focused. Like if you go to any PCP, even the best of PCPs, right? They have an algorithm that they follow because that's how the training is. If you have allergies, then is it dry? Is it cold? You look at the symptoms. If you're blocked, sinuses, then this is the path they go to, right? That's how it is. From an Eastern wisdom perspective, you are treating the entire human being, and the human being came with symptoms, but there was a reason why someone's allergy could be sinus focused, other person's allergies could be eyes focused. They may have exhibit different symptoms. Why did this and exhibit that? And you're not only treating the symptoms, but you're trying to find the root cause, and you're trying to help that person. So I feel very grateful that I am not only a dietitian, but I also have a formal, even though, the foundation of Indian food is Ayurveda, which I hope we talk about that. Yeah. But I also formally studied Ayurvedic medicine, and I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner. But, think about, again, even though I did the formal training, but I think pick any Indian mom, our first pharmacy is our kitchen. And I'm saying only Indian mom because that's my background. But I also have to say that any culture, our grandmas need nutrition.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
you know,
Just to have
we were,
this.
yeah, they were so in sync with what the changes happening in nature.
Yes.
Right. And I think over time with industrialization, with modernization, I think we have done autopilot. And I feel, have given away our sensory intelligence to machines or to somebody else to take control. And I'm worried that it's going to be a different era now with AI happening, right? So when I sit down and talk to individuals, whether it's in an individual setting, in a conference setting, in a speaking setting, I just try to my goal is like, okay, let us not lose our sensory intelligence. And Ayurveda, even though it's the oldest practicing holistic medicine in the world, the foundation is living in sync and in harmony with nature. And that is why I think Ayurveda resonates to diverse cultures and diverse population. It is so deep and so vast, yet it is so simple and practical.
Yes. And like you said, we lost it, even though this could be some of the simplest ways that we help ourselves feel better, we help ourselves live longer, and we treat quickly at home. And again, if you talk to any of the top chefs, they're always like following the seasons. They are working with seasonal produce because they want it to be as rich and beautiful and nutritious as possible. And it makes all the difference. Just simple ingredients. Well done.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. You don't need to overcomplicate.
Yes. So tell us a little bit more about Ayurveda. So the history behind it, why it really spoke to you, and then how you took essentially saying, okay, yes, I've been in a modern hospital setting, but how am I going to bring these beautiful ancient practices to the forefront to modern age and start your own business, be spiced off of it?
Yeah. So before I dive into what Ayurveda is, I would love to tackle about my transition from my hospital setting to entrepreneur setting. I mean, as I said, it was a very fulfilling 11 years in the hospital setting, but something within me was like, I think whether it was the entrepreneurial gene that I have from my father, or it was just like, even though throughout my times in the hospital, every time I opened my lunchbox, because I was a vegetarian, there's only so many salads and there's only so much protein, sadly, that was available at the time, at least. So I would rely on home cooked meal. But every time I'd open my lunchbox, I felt like I was constantly answering questions about, oh my God, that spice, the smell, what is it? It's the curry. And I was always answering questions about every time I opened my lunchbox. So I think nature or the universe was actually gearing me or prepping me in answering all those questions every single time somebody would be curious about the way I ate. And then fast forward, there was a shift of it. It was like personal shift with my children being too young and I wanted to spend time with them. There was something in me that was wanting, like, this was not a sustainable way for me to feel fulfilled in my career. And I took the plunge, took a leap of faith, and I said, I'm going to open my kitchen and I'm going to teach people how to cook the way I eat. And it started with 2 or 3 people, and then it just went on and on. And I would have sold out classes at home. This was like back in 2013. I started teaching in commercial kitchens and started leading wellness lectures at the museum, leading wellness lectures for different groups. So I felt like I needed to go back, and I was getting hungry for knowledge too. So that's when I also started enroll myself and I studied Ayurveda formally. So talking about what Ayurveda is, Ayurveda basically means science of life. It comes from 2 words, Ayur and Veda. Ayur means life and Veda means science or knowledge. It truly is science of life. It is, as I said, is the oldest practicing holistic medicine in the world, 5,000 plus years old, but it has the main focus is living in harmony with seasons, making sure that we are preserving health. And the focus is to actually preserve health to prevent diseases. And if diseases happen, then how do you manage not only the symptoms, but also focus on the root cause. So Ayurveda is ingrained in India, in our food system, in herbology. There are actual colleges and universities in India where you can study Ayurveda. You can be an Ayurvedic physician. You can be an Ayurvedic pharmacist. I often tell people it's not a voodoo science. It's a very scientific medicine. Also here in America, the NIH recognizes it as a complementary system of medicine, and World Health Organization recognizes it as a traditional medicine. So I'm just so happy and grateful that I get to live my purpose every day and through food, and share people both the Western aspect and an Eastern aspect, and truly offer an integrative approach to food and nutrition.
I love that. You're so passionate about this too. I can feel it through my screen. And as you're talking, you're such a beautiful storyteller.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, this is my path, and I lead with gratitude. It's like not everybody gets to get up in the morning and do what they love and are passionate about. And I'm grateful every single day that I get to do that. And again, not in just one form.
Right.
And that is the beauty of being an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, because I wear multiple hats. I sometimes look in the mirror and look at myself. It's like if you have seen a picture of an Indian god or a goddess with multiple, like 6, 7 hands, that's who I am. One hand holding my ladle and the other hand holding a microphone and speaking, the other hand writing a book. I have products. I do wellness lectures and workshops. I have written a book. So just so many different things that I get to do. And I sit down and do consultations, just so many different things. But again, the purpose is the same, is to integrate the Eastern wisdom while also honoring the Western evidence-based science and help people and meet them wherever they are.
Yes. And even your whole brand is very holistic. It's just all feeding into each other. Like you mentioned, you're still doing consultations and wellness workshops and different classes along those lines so folks can learn more. When did you decide to do your own CPG products? You've got these gorgeous bottled spices and different blends. How did that process come about? Was that difficult? Was that fun?
It's very fun. I wish I have extra time because I have so many ideas for newer products. But it came when I opened my doors to teach. Not everybody enjoys cooking, which is sad, but everybody's has different priorities, but everybody enjoys a meal, right? So they're like, oh my God, I cannot come to your home for learning classes, but can you bottle something up for me? Can you make something up? Or if I would teach in a class and I would show a blend, oh my God, your chai always tastes so good. What is the secret? The secrets are always spices, right? And every home has their own family recipes. So I'm like, okay, I can put this in a bottle. And so it was very organic, and it was very much led by what was being asked of me at the time.
Amazing. And then are you now working with a co-packer, a manufacturer, so that you can do it on a high scale?
Not yet. That is the hope. So if anybody's listening, reach out. I'm hoping. I would love to see my products on store shelves.
Yes,
for sure. But right now, everything happens in my kitchen, and I operate through the cottage industry system in Texas. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Yes, there are so many, depending on where you live, especially in the US, so many different regulations. Things are changing all the time now. Yeah. So I can't wait for that moment too, which it's going to have to come after your book tour here, but I believe it's going to happen. So let's chat writing. When was the moment that you said, I think I need to become a cookbook writer? I need to put all of these incredible Dal Chawal recipes down. And how did you get connected with our good friend Sally to get it all started?
Oh, yes, that is a journey. It's been a very beautiful and a very fulfilling journey thus far. And I knew when that whole change and that shift was happening for me from clinical to this entrepreneurial side, book was always there. TV was actually even higher on the list. I always envisioned that, and the dream is still not dead. That dream is still much alive. I would love to be in front of the camera. I love to talk. I love to share. I actually had put my efforts into that, but COVID and life kind of changed my trajectory. And I said, okay, I'm going to leave that on the shelf for a minute, and I'm going to dive deeper and put my energies into a book. So I always wanted to share about the way I ate, whether it was to one person or to in a published form, whichever I can reach people in all corners of the world. So the book was definitely there. I was very restless. I'm like, oh, I'm going to write some pages. I'm going to put everything together. I'm going to publish it. And it should be done in a few months. It's taken 4 years.
Yes.
And I have learned by having amazing circle around me that surrounded me through this whole book writing process. It is a process. It is a process and you can't rush it. And, how this is saying, right? It's not delayed. It's just you're waiting for the right time.
Oh, I love that.
Nothing is delayed in life. It's just the timing is not right. And I had to tell that to myself because that restless part of me is like, no, I can do this. What do you mean it's going to take 6 months for this? Or what do you mean it's going to take a year for this? But it needed that because it had to be thorough. Every step takes time. So I have to tell people, whoever is thinking about writing a book, I'm sure there are people who have whipped a book in a few months, self-published it. I chose not to do that because my goal, that was a personal benchmark. I wanted to write a book that outlived me on this earth. And I wanted to make sure that I provided a book or a resource that is truly a resource beyond just recipes. And I'm just so thankful that Sally was my first pick as an agent. I was very nervous. I had known of her. I had done a course with her and her mom, who was amazing, Lisa. And in my heart, I had sown that desire that, oh my gosh, I would love for them, the Eckes group, to represent me. But just to work on the proposal took a year. And I was going through a radical personal shift around that time as well. But when I hit send, I still remember I had said a lot of prayers when I had sent to Sally that my proposal, and the response that I got, I was just like bawling, just in tears. And I'm just so grateful that Sally is in my corner. I'm in hers, like they're in each other's orbit. And the rest is history. She took over and found me the perfect home for my Dal Chawal to stay forever, for my first book to stay forever. So it has been a very fulfilling journey thus far. And I think it's begun, right? Once the book is released, that's when actually the true journey of the book begins.
Yes. Like you said, it gets to find its way to all the other homes from your home. Yes. What was it like to do the recipe testing and development? Was it something that you enjoyed? It's kind of tedious as well, right? To get everything very perfect.
It is. And being a type A, and again, my skill set as a dietitian I've led research projects and I've published research. So I understood like how you conduct all of that, and then moving that into home style recipes where ask any Indian who will say if they watch their mom cook, Indian moms measure. There is no, I never grew up with a tablespoon or teaspoons or measuring cup. I went to a culinary school in India. So I was the one who had to purchase measuring cup and spoons later on. My mom till today never uses any measurements. So it's very intuitive eating. Again, it's a popular term, right? Intuitive eating. And I sometimes have to laugh and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's how traditional cooking is. It's all intuition. You don't have to give fancy words to it. So that took a time, right? Because everything had to be measured out. It had to be repeated several times because if I can create this bowl of dal, I wanted to ensure that other people were able to replicate that and have almost similar result. Sometimes the color may be different or consistency can be slightly different, but for the most part, it should not be completely different from what I intended it to be. So I went through my own recipe testing, and then I was grateful that I had a lovely professional recipe tester who tested a few recipes. And then I kind of seeked out people that I knew and then people that I didn't know, and from different backgrounds, different states in United States and internationally, whose kitchens I have never walked in. And I said, would you test some recipes? And so I was grateful that I had about a dozen recipe testers.
Oh my gosh.
Scattered everywhere. So every recipe is tested. And that gave me confidence. Okay. And some of the feedback and that I received from them and definitely helped make some tweaks and changes. So they were definitely very helpful in this process.
Incredible. I feel like that was the very data-driven side of you who was like, not just one. We are going with at least a dozen folks. How many people can actually make it? It's very statistician focused as well, right? Like,
Yes.
what is the
Now
people?
I tell people I have a Western side of a brain and have an Eastern side of a brain. I love my calories, protein. I can do all of that. But at the same time, I also have the Ayurveda side of the brain. Okay, is this food heating or cooling? What is it going to do? What season is it? Is it rough or dry? Those are the other kind of qualitative aspect of food. So that's how I work, is both the sides have to fit in.
Yes. I feel happiest too when I've got both sides of my brain working in terms of analytics meets creative, because there's some of us who we can't just use one side.
Yes.
And sometimes I envy the people who are just so specialized in certain areas, but I think it just leads to a big, like you said, more holistic, a richer sense of what's going on.
Yes, for sure.
Tell us a little bit more about the recipes within the book itself. So I know it must be hard to choose one, baby, but are there a few favorites that you point out off the bat? Are there a few good beginner recipes that someone should start with as they're entering into this world?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, just like to tell you about the book, I have a copy right here in front of me. And if you don't, you should get one. Again, there are so many beautiful, lovely Indian cookbooks out there. So when I sat down as to how it should look and how the chapters and recipes, I really wanted to have a different approach because I wanted to contribute and not just crowd the space in that genre. So any Indian book will have some dal, will have some rice. My book is focused on dal, true celebration of pulses, beans, and lentils, and rice. So it's all vegetarian, also happens to be all gluten-free, right? So I laid out chapters by the type of dal. My goal was, again, this is one of the constant feedbacks I have received whenever people would talk to me about Indian food from the time I stepped in on this soil. Either they like Indian food or they don't. So if they love or like Indian food, it's like, we love Indian food, but it is so overwhelming. I can never cook it. It looks very complicated. And I'm like, complicated? It's so easy. What are you talking about? So I wanted to have this book where people can, okay, I either have a dal already sitting in my pantry, or I ask people, invest in one bag of dal, open that chapter, experiment and explore and see the possibilities of that dal, and slowly build your Dal Chawal pantry one dal at a time. So it is budget friendly, it's economical, and also you can try so many things and you see the possibilities that we see as Indians. So that's how the book is laid out. Which chapter comes first, which recipe comes, every single thing is very intentional. So you ask me what is my favorites and then what is easy or what should people start with. The very first recipe in the book is made with split mung dal. And I tell people, dive into that first. That is why it was the first recipe in the book. And I tell, if you can cook pasta, you can make that dal. And the beauty of that is it's the same way of cooking. You don't have to measure the water. You just have a pot of water and then put your dal and cook it till it's al dente. And then you strain the dal from the water, but don't throw the water away as you would do for your pasta water.
Yes.
The dal water becomes a dal broth. So it's a zero waste recipe.
So cool.
It's like, how easy is that? And then, yes, you would have to buy some spices. And I think every pantry should have spices. A food without spice is life without spice or life without any creativity. So even before the recipes begin, I talk about Indian spices. I talk about Ayurveda, because this book is more than recipes. It's truly a resource book. So that is like my first recipe for y'all, for anyone that wants to kind of dive in. Coming to my favorite recipes. So this book celebrates home style Indian cooking, traditional Indian cooking. It is not a fusion book. It is, so people may not recognize it here, but my benchmark was, I don't want any Indian auntie or grandma to stop me and tell me you messed up the traditional recipe.
Oh no.
So I wanted to honor the authentic names. Every recipe has the authentic traditional Indian names. It also celebrates different regions of India. Indian cuisine is one of the most diverse cuisine in the world. The tastes or the cuisine changes. Sometimes people say every 100 meters or a few kilometers, there's a different taste profile. It is so diverse. I definitely couldn't capture every single dal recipes. This was just a glimpse, 85 recipes. So I wanted to make sure that these are all true recipes. I also wanted to honor my lineage. I'm from North India, but my community I'm Sindhi by my lineage. So I wanted to make sure that Sindhi cuisine is celebrated and definitely included in this book. So I would say my favorite recipe it's a Sindhi dish, a combination of rice and dal dish. It's caramelized onion rice, which is called Dal Chawal. And then there's a spinach and dal stew, which is the Sindhi name is sai bhaji, which literally means sai means green and bhaji means a vegetable or a stew. And so I think that happens to be both my children's favorite dinner combination. It's just what gives me joy and comfort of home. And that's what Dal Chawal is. Whenever I'm at my farmer's market, when I'm selling the books and my products, I just wait for an Indian to pass by and they stop and they look at the name and it instantly brings smile to me. So that was one of the reasons, I'm so grateful to have a publisher that really celebrated my authentic self, never diluted or asked me to dilute my voice. So I have to give all 100% credit to them because this book was always going to be called Dal Chawal. Because for billions of Indian, Dal Chawal is an emotion. Dal literally means beans and chawal means rice, but that is not what Dal Chawal means to billions of Indian. So I wanted to make sure it just brings a smile to every Indian when they see the title of the book is Dal Chawal.
Yes, it sounds like a sense of home, a taste of home, no matter where you are. I mean,
exactly.
That dal you just described, I was like, this, we're heading into fall. This sounds like the most perfect thing on a little chilly night to cozy up.
Yes.
I cannot wait to dive in myself. I'm really excited by that.
Yes.
I mean, you said, I grew up in the Midwest and it's hard when you're like, well, there's all these misconceptions about Indian food. Everyone just uses the word curry. And you're like, that is not just.
It's a colonized term. It's a colonized term. And let's not even go there. It's thankfully people have already spoken about it. So in our home, if you say, well, I've made a piece curry at least in what I have known and also seen my friends and my family at different places use something that has gravy. That's a curry. So it's not a spice. I have about 50 plus jars of spices in my pantry. Not a single spice blend that is called curry spice. I have a fresh curry plant. I don't have a curry spice. So you would not find curry spice in this book. For sure.
I love that. And then again, it's just like a really cool, accessible way to educate others. They're like, wow, that is something cool and new I can try. And again, focus on really great vegetarian meals as well here.
Yes.
So you're about to go on your book tour. This is going to launch at the start of your book tour. So I'm so lucky that I get to talk to you right before then. Tell us where you're headed and are you a little nervous? What are you feeling about it before you head up?
I'm not nervous. I am excited. I'm just so grateful that I get to do this as a first-time author. Again, I cannot do this alone. There is a circle of friends, of well-wishers, of my team at Hardy Grant, Sally. There's just so many people. There's so much of behind the scene. And I remember I told Sally and my publisher, I said, I cannot wait to write the book, because I am waiting for the book to be released so I can help sell this book. And they're like, oh, really? Because I'll probably be shy from that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can tell you that if you speak with me for 10 minutes, I'm hoping that I can convince anyone to pick up a copy. Because I think it's not just because I wrote the book, because I think this book offers recipes, it offers nutrition, it offers Ayurveda wisdom. Everybody should have this. So I was excited for this book to be released, and I had so many dreams, which again, a little segue. My name Sapna means a dream. So I definitely have big dreams. And so I was so excited. I'm like, oh, yes, I wanted to definitely have the buzz when the book was launched. But I'm like, this journey is just beginning. And I'm hoping to continue to sell this book and hopefully write other books for a long time, because this book is not a trendy book. This book is not going to lose its value or its charm 4 years from now, 5 years from now. That is what I deeply believe in. So I'm so excited that I get to go to California. I am going to go to LA. I'm going to go to Orange County. I'm doing a lot of driving in the Bay Area.
You're going to love it.
Yes. So I have the entire schedule on my Instagram. And, there are some wonderful, wonderful public events. There are some private events, corporate event. So I'm really, really grateful for how every single piece fell into place. And I'm just so excited to be talking to new audiences, diverse audiences, and talk to them about Dal Chawal.
Yes. You are the best type of founder, I have to say, because like some people are like, yeah, that's going to be really tiring, or like, yeah, that's kind of scary. And you're like, this is so much fun.
This is why I wrote the book. I wrote
relatable.
the book for it to be sold. That is the goal. So I want this book to sell. I want this book to be in every single home. I want this book to be in an Indian home. And I'm loving that I'm finding from the absolute generous reviews that I have seen online and people that send me messages or send me DMs. But my audience, right? It's for a diverse audience. But I especially feel happy when Indian folks, especially older generation, because those are my tough sells, but they are recognizing it because they're like, oh, it's Dal Chawal. I know how to make Dal Chawal, right? What's so special about it? But once they flip through the pages, talk about it, talk to me about it, they're like, can you get me not only one copy, but can I have another copy? Because I want to give this as a wedding gift for the bride and the groom. I want to give this as a housewarming gift. I think the next generation, because I wrote this book for my children. I wrote this book so that, as I told you, I want this book to outlive me on earth. And I wanted to leave this authentic home style recipes legacy so that that is not lost with modernization. But I also wanted it to be effortlessly modern so that my Gen Z kids feel like, oh, I got this. I can do this too.
100%. They must be so proud of you. They must be so excited for mom.
I hope it's a daily wish.
Well, yes, and teens and kids getting older. I think they are.
A college kid and a high schooler. Yep.
Oh my goodness. Tell us then how you're juggling this all. I mean, not only having the wonderful role of mom in life, but you are about to tour, you finished the book, you have the CPG products, and you have the courses and your additional educational products. What are your tips for someone who also perhaps wants to be in that creative space as an entrepreneur, who wants to have many channels that they're going after here?
I think find your purpose would be one. And many times that is the hard thing. I even tell my son who's in college and still trying to figure out his path. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, find what gives you joy, what gives you happiness. And many times you may have to juggle different roles to find that purpose. And if it pays you, even better. But for me, I feel this truly integrates everything together. There are days which is very exhausting, but then you get a message. And then there are days when I sometimes stand at the farmer's market, and on days when I'm like, why am I here? What am I doing?
Where's everyone?
Yeah, where is everyone? And then suddenly someone's like, oh, do you have the jar left? Another jar is like, yeah, I do. And I'm like, oh, I drove like 40 minutes for this. I'm like, you drove 40 minutes for this jar of spice? Like, yes, I can't begin my morning without it. And so those are the messages that universe is giving you, and you have to tap into it. And I'm like, that is the reason. I had to tell myself, okay, I'm doing this for this. It would be nice that I get it's financially fulfilling, but I think it comes all together at the end. And I'm just grateful. And for me, all the different avenues that I have, the purpose is the same. Whether I'm selling a jar of product, whether I'm selling a book, whether I am speaking in front of an audience, whether I'm doing a cooking demo, whatever it is, the purpose is still the same, is showing people or sharing, that food is more than nutrition. And if we choose to nourish ourselves ultimately it kind of shapes us, who we are as an individual, our bodies, our mind, our consciousness. And knowledge, I believe, is for sharing. So I think those are my kind of anchors, personal anchors that helps me wake up in the morning, even on exhausting mornings, even on mornings when I'm questioning, why am I doing this? How long I'm going to do this? It is important for us to ask questions, because when we ask questions, I think universe will answer you. And then you have to be in tune in order to receive those messages too.
Yes. And be willing to hear what the response is.
Yes.
Sometimes it might not be what we thought it would be.
Yes. And then you pivot. And growth always happens when you're at the bottom. Growth never happens when you're on the top. So sometimes you'll fall, and going through all different things as we all do in life, that's when it also shows us who we are, our identity. All of that happens during our difficult phases and in our lives, not when we are shining and having all the success. That is great time too. And then sustaining that success and sustaining that popularity also takes a lot of work.
Yes, 100%. Because once you've gotten to that level, there are some of us where we're like, okay, so what am I supposed to chase now? What am I supposed to go after next? Mm-hmm. So I appreciate that you also clearly have the attitude of gratitude, which is so important. Yes. And especially, like you said, on those tough days where you're like, does anyone even like this?
Yes.
There are plenty of days I sit there and I look at the metrics for this podcast and I'm like, is that anyone out there?
You just have to keep doing.
Yeah.
You just have to keep doing. Yeah. It's so funny, just to give you a little taste. But I would consider myself as a micro influencer from my followership. And I'm like, what am I doing for 20 likes or whatever? And I have been leading guided Indian grocery tours since 2013, 2014 to a handful of people, but I love it. I'm excited about it. And then this last one that I did in August, somebody decided to help me shoot a content and they posted it for me. And on a Sunday afternoon, and now that reel has gone over 100K views and likes. And I'm like, what just happened there? Okay. People sometimes say, oh, don't post on a weekend and don't post on a Sunday afternoon or what. It's like, I have realized you need to post when you want to post. It's just the most bizarre thing. Yeah. So
it's hard to control that. Yes, I know. That's a whole other podcast episode.
Yes.
It's like just the algorithm alone. I'm like, who knows what it's doing?
No, you just follow your heart and your intention, your purpose, and just lead with that. And if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Thank you for all of your time and amazing advice. Like, you lifted my spirits. I know you're going to continue to lift other spirits and help nourish them from the inside out. Okay, before we get to the world's best and hardest question, what are you most proud of so far? And how do you want to continue to grow? What do you think is next?
I think for my existence, I think I'm extremely proud and grateful to be able to be a mom to two healthy, loving, amazing children, to both my kids, my son and my daughter. They are my teachers. They are my patient testers. They are my challenges. They are absolutely the most, at the end of the day, the most gratifying source of energy and positivity. And also who question me, who are my cheerleaders. So I would say that is the role that I most cherish, is motherhood. Grateful to be that. Yeah, for sure.
I love it. And what do you think is next in the journey after the book tour?
Oh, I think it's going to be a long book tour. California is just one part. I'm hoping to have more talks, continue this path of talking more about Dal Chawal. My goal is, after California, do more events, but I'm hoping to also travel in India.
Ooh.
That would be an interesting experience, to sell Dal Chawal cookbook to Indians in India. I love that. So let's see if that happens. I have so many ideas. I think this is just the first book. It's like I got the taste. You know how they say you got the taste, something, and now you want to go for more. I already have like 2 or 3 ideas. And Saliki says, first savor this moment. We'll get to that. So I'm savoring the moment, but I'm also kind of putting in thoughts as to, I'm getting every comment, every feedback, every compliment, every question that I get. You got to listen. You got to kind of keeping that in a nice little jar so I can use it for my next book. for sure. But I think there are more books in the horizon. Love to see my products be in stores. I will hope to God. I really hope to God, because I think that's my joy space, is to be in front of a camera. Again, there are people who are very shy, who don't like it. I don't prepare for my talks or anything. I have a YouTube channel, which is very stagnant, but it's so funny. I used to post on YouTube there, but I still continue to get comments and still continue to get views. So I hope that God allows me, or the universe allows me, to be in front of media and TV to actually kind of show and demonstrate the way Indian food is cooked and talk about Ayurveda and Indian food.
Amazing. Well, we're manifesting it here.
Yes.
It's out there.
Yes.
All right, Sapna, it's time. A little reminder for everyone. This is called The Perfect Bite, because we talk to folks across the perfect bite of the value chain of food and the amazing things you entrepreneurs are giving back to it. But it's also because we all have our own perfect bites, our recipes, memories, just a perfect bite you had that you'll never forget. And that's unique to your taste buds. So Sapna, what is your perfect bite?
I mean, you may say it's cliche, but it truly is warm, piping hot rice.
Yeah.
With a ladle of hot spiced dal with some spicy achar or Indian pickle on the side.
Oh, yeah.
And then you eat it with your hands. No,
interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
And yeah, you eat it with your fingers, like not like your palm or whatever. You eat with your hands. I think that is the ultimate. The Indian word is called tripti, or like it's soul warming and content. That I would say is my perfect bite.
Oh, I hope you get to have it today.
Yes, I do. I do have some dal waiting for me and rice.
Amazing. Thank you again so much for your time, for your energy, for everything you're giving back to others. Can you let listeners know where to find you? So your social accounts, the website, and where they can purchase Dal Chawal.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for the opportunity, for your platform to help me share my message, my book, and my story to your viewers and beyond. My brand is beSPICED, because I truly believe that you don't have to be bland in life. You got to be spiced, not only in your food, but also all through your life. My Insta account is be.spiced. I hope I get to see several of for those who are watching this, during my California book tour, which is from September 18 to September 28. All the details are in link in bio on Instagram. And I cannot wait to see you, and let me know if you found me through this podcast. I'd love to meet a lot of people. So yeah.
Perfect. And then
where can you find the book? You can find Dal Chawal on any online platform. You can find Dal Chawal wherever good books are sold, not only in the United States, in the UK, in Canada, in India, in Australia. So it's a global, again, thanks to a publisher that believed in my book, has given it a global release. So I'm really, really fortunate.
Incredible. Again, can't wait to get my copy here. Sapna, thank you again. And everyone, thank you so much for listening in. This was Sapna Punjabi's Perfect Bite.
Thanks for tuning in to The Perfect Bite today. You can listen to future episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Thanks in advance for subscribing, rating, and reviewing. You can follow The Perfect Bite on social media @PerfectBitePod. Now go get something good to eat.